In the gloom of a secluded laboratory, an ambitious scientist unearths the secret to bestow life upon the lifeless. Unaware his creation will cast shadows on future generations, leaving an indelible mark upon literature and sparking ageless debates on science, ethics, and the very essence of humanity. Frankenstein is not merely a story of horror and despair, but a profound reflection on the dilemmas that arise when humanity dares to tread upon the realms of the gods. And in an era where the boundaries of science are continually stretched, where genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, and other feats echo Victor Frankenstein's experiment, Shelley's novel remains a stark, resounding cautionary tale. Let's journey from the desolate ice fields of the Arctic to the pulsating heart of the ethical debates that plague our modern scientific endeavors, exploring how a novel penned almost over 2 centuries ago continues to kindle the flames of vital conversations about humanity, creation, and ethical responsibility in our ceaseless quest for knowledge and mastery over the unseen. But before we unearth these shadowy realms of Frankenstein, make sure you're subscribed to our channel and have activated the notification bell to continue keeping up with Learning with Dr. K content like this. And now, let's voyage across time, literature, and the moral quandaries through the pages of Frankenstein. To understand Victor Frankenstein's ambition and torment, we must root our exploration within the fertile grounds from which Frankenstein sprouted, the rich, tumultuous soil of the early 19th century. The ambiance of that era, the tempest of ideas and beliefs, breathed life into Mary Shelley's pen, entwining reality and fiction into an undying narrative. Mary Shelley, born into a world where the Enlightenment kissed the shadows of industrial progression, witnessed a society fervently clasping at the threads of scientific, social, and industrial advancements. Her parents, Mary Wollstonecraft and William Godwin, themselves philosophers and writers, invariably shaped her perceptions, intertwining with the macrocosm of sociocultural transformations. The Enlightenment, a period enriched with intellectual and scientific fervor, illuminated the capabilities of reason and empirical knowledge. Rationality was heralded as the beacon lighting humanity's path to progress and ethical maturation. The scientific method demystified nature and elevated humanity's prowess and control over its surroundings. Yet, emerging from the enlightened shadows, Romanticism, with its mystical allure, caressed the human spirit, asserting that rationality and empirical pursuits should not dampen the flickering flames of emotion, intuition, and our innate entwining with nature. Mary Shelley, enshrouded in this dichotomy of eras, saw sparks of stories flicker amid the tension between progress and ethical contemplation. And the fascinating tendrils of scientific discovery were not merely confined to literature. The tangible specter of galvanism teased the boundary between life and death, preferring the tantalizing potential of reanimating the deceased through electrical currents. And such experiments pierced the common psyche and inevitably Mary's contemplation, exploring whether humanity should tread upon domains traditionally relegated to higher powers. And amid the murmurs of machines and the tangible pulse of industrial progression, society convulsed with the birth pangs of a new era. While propelling society into the economic and technological advancements, the Industrial Revolution also darkened cityscapes with soot and sorrow, echoing the disparities and social upheavals that would invariably interweave with the philosophical discourses of the age. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein then embodied an era's anxieties and philosophical enigmas, reflecting both awe-inspiring progress and ethical trepidation. We witness the manifestation of these contemplations in the novel. Through his unwavering pursuit of knowledge, Victor Frankenstein becomes both a symbol and a warning of the age. Echoes of the Enlightenment and Romanticism whisper throughout its pages. The novel is not merely a vessel for philosophical exploration, but a masterful employment of literary elements that further deepen and complexify its narrative. And you can't explore Frankenstein without venturing into its unique narrative structure, a story cocooned within stories, each one peeling back to reveal deeper psychological and thematic realms. The frame narrative, beginning with the letters of Captain Walton, peels back to Victor Frankenstein's narrative, and further still to the creature's own tale, forging a labyrinthine exploration of perspective, reliability, and empathy. And the Gothic elements enshroud Frankenstein in a cloak of dark, atmospheric dread, establishing a world where the haunting and the haunted coalesce. In this ominous ambiance, the tragic symphony of creator and creation unfolds as both entities negotiate physical and psychological landscapes marred by isolation, terror, and existential despair. And in counterpoint to the dark specter of the Gothic, the novel embraces the romantic reverence for the sublime, the awe-inspiring, terrifying majesty of untouched nature. The riveting landscapes, from the serene expanse of the Swiss Alps to the desolate, icy confines of the Arctic, serve not merely as backdrops, but as reflections of internal, emotional, and moral landscapes, contrasting starkly with the unnatural abomination of Victor's creation. Symbolism also weaves its subtle threads through the fabric of the novel, with light and fire emblematic of knowledge, enlightenment, and simultaneously destruction and peril. Victor and his creation become twined symbols of humanity's dual nature, the inexorable interweaving of benevolence and malevolence, ambition and monstrosity, creator and destroyer. Yet, amid the eerie silence of horror and moral contemplation, Mary Shelley subtly employs irony to further accentuate the novel's thematic depth. Victor's insatiable quest for knowledge and mastery over life instead traps him in a relentless cycle of death and suffering. And at the same time, the creature, born of dead matter, paradoxically becomes the most emotionally and morally animated entity within the story. Allusion, too, embellishes the text, echoing mythological and literary fragments of creators and creations gone awry, from the hubristic plight of Prometheus to the allegorical resonance of Milton's Paradise Lost. The creature finds solace and torment in these tales, reflecting on his cursed existence, further entwining the novel's thematic and moral explorations with enduring human narratives of ambition, creation, and consequence. As we tread through the shadowy realms of Shelley's narrative, intricately embellished with nuanced literary elements, we then emerge into a space where the echoes of Victor Frankenstein's creation reverberate into our own era, a time where the pulsations of life can be felt within the machinery of progress and the helixes of biotechnological aspirations. Victor Frankenstein's creation, birthed amid the churning storms of scientific curiosity and ambition, becomes not merely a grotesque reflection of unrestrained scientific endeavor, but an evocative symbol of humanity's perpetual dance along the precipice of ethical boundaries. His endeavor, marred by oblivious neglect for ethical and moral considerations, unravels into a cascading tragedy, signaling a potent warning across the ages, even to our own. And today, as we stand on the cusp of our own creations, with artificial intelligence and genetic engineering teetering on the brink of transformative breakthroughs, the tale of Victor and his creation becomes an eerily prescient mirror, reflecting our own ethical and moral dilemmas. Do we, like Victor, become entrapped by our own insatiable pursuit of progress, heedlessly barreling through ethical boundaries with potentially catastrophic repercussions? Science, in its quest for knowledge and mastery, often brushes against the fibers of ethical and moral quandaries. The dilemmas embedded within Frankenstein, the violation of natural order, the moral obligations of the creator, and the societal implications of scientific endeavors reverberate against our contemporary scientific and technological landscapes. I, the miserable and the abandoned, am an abortion to be spurned at and kicked and trampled on. These words from the creature, an entity birthed of scientific aspiration yet marred by existential agony, become a poignant symbol of neglected ethical responsibility. And Victor's abdication of moral and paternal duty towards his creature precipitates his ruin. It casts the creature into an abyss of isolation and vengeance, spotlighting the entwined threads of scientific, moral, and societal obligations. And as we gaze into the boundless frontiers of scientific possibility, Shelley's novel casts a spectral shadow, urging us to ponder upon the ethical and moral imperatives that must tether our explorations. The questions permeating through Frankenstein of responsibility, ethical boundaries, and societal implications of scientific advancements become not mere philosophical musings, but vital considerations for our own trajectory. And I'll quote again from the creature. My vices are the children of a forced solitude that I abhor, and my virtues will necessarily arise when I live in communion with an equal. And this statement from the creature suggests that if Victor had assumed responsibility for his creation and provided it with companionship and moral guidance, its path might have been virtuous instead of vicious. So, the undying echoes of Frankenstein's focus on responsibility for creation persist, whispering through the corridors of our scientific endeavors, urging us to contemplate, to ethically deliberate, and to traverse the pathways of progress with moral compasses firmly in hand. For as Mary Shelley so viscerally elucidates, to neglect the ethical soul of creation is to potentially birth monsters that once unleashed cannot be restrained. So, tracing back the tendrils of ethical and scientific inquiry from often perilous landscapes of our modern era, we submerge into the early 19th century, a period where the flickering flames of scientific and industrial revolution cast both light and shadow upon the canvas of society. And it is here, amid the vibrancy and tumult of her era, that Mary Shelley scribed Frankenstein into being. Mary Shelley was not merely a spectator, but an active participant within a tumultuous era, where the exuberance of discovery was often intertwined with ethical, philosophical, and societal problems that we briefly touched upon earlier. And engulfed within a world where scientific exploits like galvanism teased the boundaries between life and death, Shelley confronted the enthralling and disconcerting frontiers of scientific possibility. Amid the Industrial Revolution's mechanized heartbeat, society was irreversibly altered, heralding unprecedented technological advancements while concurrently sowing seeds of social unrest and disparity. And once perceived as a divine and immutable entity, nature became something to be dissected, understood, and ultimately mastered, puncturing the essence of the ethical and natural order. Shelley was ensconced within a vibrant circle of poets, philosophers, and radicals, each challenging the established norms and exploring the moral and existential profundities of the rapidly transforming world. Conversations laced with themes of life, creation, and the moral obligations of science and society imbued Shelley's contemplations and eventually merged into the tragically potent narrative of Frankenstein. Victor Frankenstein's exploration and subsequent tragedy arise as manifestations of the philosophical and ethical turbulence of Shelley's society. His unbridled ambition, which unearths awe-inspiring potential, yet unleashes unmitigated suffering, mirrors the dichotomous spirit of Shelley's era, an age teetering between enlightened progression and the looming abyss of unconsidered consequences. Quote, "Learn from me, if not by my precepts, at least by my example, how dangerous is the acquirement of knowledge and how much happier that man is who believes his native town to be the world than he who aspires to become greater than his nature will allow." Victor's warning to Walton about the dangers of unchecked ambition in the pursuit of knowledge without ethical consideration opens up discourse on the responsibilities that accompany scientific discovery and exploration. Here and throughout the novel, Shelley interrogates the imperatives of ethical responsibility during scientific pursuit, reflecting the anxieties and moral inquiries permeating her society. And the creature, a being of unparalleled misery and vengeance, emerges as a spectral warning against the perils of scientific and ethical neglect, embedding a timeless, haunting inquiry into the moral fiber of progress and creation. "Beware, for I am fearless and therefore powerful. I will watch with the wiliness of a snake that I may sting with its venom. Man, you shall repent of the injuries you inflict." The creature, abandoned and maligned, disappears into the frosty abyss, leaving behind not merely a tale of horror and despair, but an undying, haunting inquiry into the essence of creation, ethical duty, and scientific pursuit. The creature becomes an internal specter in his solitude and agony, gazing silently upon our endeavors and aspirations. The vitality of Mary Shelley's narrative lies not merely in its portrayal of scientific ambition and tragic neglect, but in its potent, enduring ability to nestle within our own dialogues of science and ethics, reflecting, questioning, and silently cautioning. Frankenstein, a mirror delicately held up to our society, reflecting the shimmering possibilities and shadowy perils of our unbridled pursuits. And within the threads of Shelley's narrative, we discern the timeless dialogues of progress and morality, creation and responsibility, weaving through the ages into our own era. We glimpse into the abyss of boundless possibility and ethical mystery, continually interrogating our endeavors, ensuring that the specters of Victor and his creature do not silently dwell within our scientific and moral landscapes. In the silent echo of the creature's departure, we're left to ponder our own paths, ensuring that our knowledge and mastery are perpetually intertwined with an unwavering ethical dialogue. Thus, Frankenstein persists, not merely a novel, but an eternal narrative companion, whispering ethical and existential inquiries as we navigate the frontiers of scientific and moral exploration. Thank you for joining me on this descent into the ethical quandaries of Shelley's Frankenstein. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to keep up with future Learning with Dr. K content. It's free, and you'll be the first to know when new videos are released. And until next time, keep those pages turning.